Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the last session today at the Scottish Summit. I'll be presenting the Modernizing Your Old Apps with Paraps and Power Automate. So before I start the session, let me thank all our sponsors shown here and also the volunteers who's helped us, session this sessions. And I have myself leaving by myself. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So thank you everyone, and thanks for the sponsors, and thank you all the people who's listening to my session. So moving on, I'm just going to explain a little bit about myself. So I'm Taiki. I'm working for Microsoft as a senior program manager in a team called the PowerCat team. You may know these people like Manuela and the others from the other sessions as well. I'm a colleague of theirs. And primarily, I work directly with the customers across the globe. I'm currently working mainly in APAC and also EMEA, and makes customers successful in exchange of making the products better as well. And I just happen to be a founder of the Japan PAPS user group as well. We have about 1,700 members since February in 2018. And I really have this core passion about enabling people and making everyone empowered to do more, literally as my personal thing. And it's because when I first started my life as an adult, I started off working as a McDonald's worker, and then through literally googling through lots of things, and also being taught through the community, I learned a lot. And then I found paraps, and that's when one of the guys in Microsoft reached out to me and say, "Well, you want to start working at McDonald's?" So that's how I ended up here. So I'm really I have this great passion of trying to pay it forward, and for everyone to be able to learn more, as well as me trying to volunteer as much as possible throughout the committee like the Scottish Summit. So today I wanted to talk about the Power Automate things, and also a collaboration of the Power Apps. So if you've already got Office 365, you already have some bits of the Power Automate. But to be honest, you're missing out half of the story if you only tried the cloud flows. So you actually still have two other different types of flows: business process flows and the desktop flows. And these two make the whole complete Power Automate story, where you have, for example, when you have a very old application, it's like super ancient, and they don't have any APIs, or they don't have like a service to or connectors that you normally use to connect to things like SharePoint or Teams as such, and you have to usually build or develop something so that you can actually connect through Power Automate if you want to do that in using the cloud flows. But by having the desktop flows, it enables you to bridge between the old apps without the APIs and also the modern systems with the APIs together, and merge the two together. So Power Automate basically acts as the bridge across the two systems. And in particular, I wanted to cover today about the Power Automate desktop, because it really is easy as cloud flows if you have already tried it before, and actually enables you to automate legacy and modern systems together. And it really is user friendly, just like you would have in the cloud flows in Power Automate as well. So the steps are really simple. In Power Automate desktop, you basically record whatever task you usually do on the screen, and then you try and play it back and see if it works. And then you basically fuse it together with other Power Automate components together to make it like a complete story. So it's really easy to use. And Power Automate Desktop basically allows you to firstly accelerate the desktop automation with really easy to use Visual Designer, which I will be demoing you later on. And it's not just desktop applications that you can automate as well. It also includes web recorders that allows you to record whatever you've done in your browser as well. And it's not just, in the olden days, we first started off desktop automations. We have UI flows to begin with, and that used to have a restriction of having just a Chromium based browsers such as Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge's latest version. But with this Power Automate Desktop, it's not just those two browsers, but you can actually automate Internet Explorer if you really want to be agent. You can also automate Mozilla Firefox as well. So it really is, compatible with pretty much every browser as well. And it automates across Windows applications with rich set of actions. Some are designated, like Excel, and it enables you to reduce bottlenecks with flexible exception handling. So it really can build RPA with ease. You can see there's a drag and drop that you see here on this short video, but it literally is just a drag and drop to add all of the new actions that you want to add. And so it's really simple, but it has like 400 different types of out-of-the-box actions that you can use, and there's so much. I'm not going to be able to cover it all today, unfortunately. If I had probably 8 hours, I may be able to, but that's how plenty all of the actions are. And sometimes when you first start off Power Automate Desktop or any of these kind of tools, it kind of is overwhelming when you start off, because you don't know what exactly all of these actions does. So when I first started off Power Automate Desktop, it was hard for me as well. But when I used the web recorders and the desktop recorder functions, it's basically like recording all of your steps, and it will automatically convert them into actions, which I'll show you later on. But it makes it so much easier to start to build off your automation, and then do a little bit of tweaks, and that's all you have to be. That's all you have to be doing. So it really is a really intuitive and rich design workspace. You can also add things like loops for repetitive tasks. So for example, if you have a list of Excel spreadsheet, for example, with lots of rows, you can make sure that it runs every single row in that Excel spreadsheet, and that can be done using loops. And as such, it also allows you to also extract data as well from, for example, if you had a list on a website and it's like a table, it has an really easy data extraction features as well. So it really is a flexible tool, and it's really intuitive, and it really is. Oh, how about? Yeah, okay, my sharing is working. Yeah, it really is still a really powerful tool that enables you to do really sophisticated things as well. So just going a little bit in detail, you also have things like the subflows, which basically is like a flow of a flow inside the Power Automate Desktop. So for example, if you have like a set of actions, and if you have too many actions, you can start ending up with like 50 steps. But obviously you don't want to have all 50 steps in one chunk. You want to kind of divide it into different flows, and that's when you have these subflow features, and you can kind of like make it into modular based flows, so that you can have like the bigger steps in the main flow, and then you can code each of the subflows inside it as well. So it's kind of a great way of managing it as well. And each of these steps also have like a pop-up message that allows you to define much more in detail all of the properties and such, and variables and bits and pieces as well. You can combine it with things like the VB script, Python, JavaScript, and PowerShell into your automations as well. So it's not just for citizen developers or non-developer type of people. It's also for pro developers as well. So it's a really, really powerful tool. So it's kind of getting repetitive here, but it really is a great tool. So to get started, it's really, really simple. First, you go into the Power Automate Cloud, and you can just select Cloud Flows. Sorry, the screenshot's a little bit old, but you can just use a desktop flow, and then it will show up saying, well, do you want to, which type of flow, desktop flow you want to launch, and you can just click on Power Automate Desktop. And then if you don't have the application, it will prompt you to download it. You just click on it, download it, install it, and basically it's done. So just the prerequisites of what you need to have before you start off trying out the Power Automate Desktop, you need basically 3 things. So the first one is a Microsoft Dataverse environment. And you would think, why do you need a Dataverse for a Power Automate Desktop? And one of the reasons why you need the Dataverse environment is that all of the steps that is being recorded is basically being saved inside the Dataverse environment. And it kind of makes sense because if you go into one of the Center of Excellence sessions early on during the day today in the Scottish Summit, you may, there are kind of loads of different tools that allows you to detect if there's any flows as such, and RPA is definitely one of them. So by having it stored in a Dataverse environment ensures that it's stored in the cloud, not on your local system or your local desktop. It also means that if your desktop breaks down and you need to set up the automation somewhere else, then it's already saved in the cloud. So all you have to do is just install Power Automate Desktop again. It'll run the same automation in that Dataverse because it picks up all of the automations from the Dataverse environments. So that is the reason. So the second thing you need is the trial or the paid version of the Power Automate with the attended RPA license. So if you want to start a trial, it's free for 30 days. And so all you have to do is just click try now and it will start working. And the other thing you also need to have is the on-premise data gateway. And why you need that is it kind of acts as a bridge between the Power Automate in the cloud and Power Automate Desktop on your desktop. So whatever you try and trigger from Power Automate in the Cloudflow, it will then go via the on-premise data gateway. It is very secure. It's using Azure backend services. So, and everything is encrypted behind the scenes using SSL. So it then sends the message to the Power Automate desktop to run whatever the automation that needs to be done. Once it's done, it will then send back the results of whether if it's a successful automation or not, or any of the variables you defined in Power Automate desktop, you can also send it back to your Power Automate, and you can use that result directly in your Cloud Flows again. So that's the kind of thing you can do. So I think I've got a question here saying where the automations created with the DPA are being stored. So just mentioned, it's stored in the Dataverse environment, and you can, yes, add the DPA steps into the solution as well. So I think it's already 20 minutes gone, so I'm going to stop talking now and get in with the demos. So let me just close off this slideshow for a second. So today, I hope you can see the screen. As you can see, this is this legacy application, super old. I don't know when it was built, probably like 50 years ago. And you can do lots of different things. So it's kind of like an ERP back in the 1990s or something, when I was born or something. And you get to manage your customers, you can do support cases, you can do all sorts of different things. So today I'm going to talk to you about how we can make this invoicing being automated. So for example, right, if you had like if you're working in a company where you have like these field technicians, for example, and these field technicians go to the customer's office or customer's location, and they have to log all of the costs that was associated with the repairs or the services that they had provided in the field. Now, you don't want to be ending up opening this crappy invoicing application every time from your PC or something. You don't want to open up your laptop and then start typing away the invoicing for this. So the thought for there would be that you would want to have this automated, or at least have a way of entering this without actually opening this application, but in a way much more modern, usually by mobile, for example. So this is where my story comes in today with this session, where you can use Power Automate Desktop and Power Apps and combine the two together. I'm not going to do it all in one go. I'm going to do it step by step so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. And firstly, when we want to start off automating this invoice processing, what we can start doing is to launch the Power Automate Desktop. So I'm going to launch it here. And here you see this environment, and this is exactly what I was talking about. You need to have a Dataverse environment because you can store all of your Power Automate Desktop automations inside the Dataverse environment. So here I've got two environments. One's the default one, which doesn't actually have a Dataverse, but here I've got this Scottish Summit one. And I've already got this one, but this is the one for the backup in case I screw this demo up. So I'm not going to use this one actually. I'm going to make one from scratch. So here I'm going to click on new flow and just add a flow name. Let's call it the Scottish Summit 2021 invoice automation. And click create. And this opens up the Power Automate desktop's main screen basically. And this is where all the fun begins. So let's just wait for the things to get ready. And here is the screen. And as I've explained before, on the left-hand side, you see the list of all these different actions, and there's 400 of them. I'm definitely not going to go through each and every one today. And this is the bit where you add different steps. So the first step is to launch the app. Now I could record it and then make sure that it launches the app from here, but I'm going to make it more robust by actually using an action inside the system category called run application. So I don't have to rely on this shortcut here. So I'm going to drag and drop this, and then it'll ask me where this application is. So this Contoso invoicing, if you're not sure where it is, you just right click on this shortcut, click on properties, and you'll see where it is. So it's in C program files, Contoso invoicing. So I'm going to do exactly the same here. So just click on here, select the file, go to this PC, C drive, program files, and it's the Contoso invoicing. And here we got the legacy invoicing app. Double click that, and that's done. Just click on save, and we've added the first step. Now, the next step is that you could go and open up the application and do each and every step one by one, but we only have another 25 minutes or so. So I'm going to go and do a little bit of a desktop recorder. So here on the top, you see this desktop recorder and web recorder. So if you have anything you want to automate on your browser, you use the web recorder. And today I'm going to use a desktop recorder. I'll click that, and it opens up this recording thingy. And it hasn't started yet, but once I click start recording, it'll start recording. Simple as that. Let me just close this Contoso invoicing and just open it for a second, and to make sure it's on the very initial screen. Okay, and I'll start recording now. So click on start recording, and it's restarted. Now the difference is that when you move your cursor, you see that for just about 1 second after I move the cursor to the place, it's it's got a red square or rectangle, and this is basically recognizing all of the different components or the buttons that you're about to select. So firstly, I need to click on invoices. So if I click that, you see the screen switched, and on the right hand side, you see click element in the window. I clicked on the text invoices in the window, Contoso invoicing. It's simple as that. So here I'm going to add a new step. So I'm going to click on the new record button, and I can start typing in the date. So I'm just going to type the date for now. Let's just make it 1st of January 2020, just so that you see it's a different one. And the account is going to be Scottish Summit Limited, and the contact is going to be Scotland@scotland.com. Okay, and the amount is going to be, let's just do it 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to save this. Click. Now you see on the right hand side, as you can see, there's lots and lots of steps being made, and once you're finished with it, you can just click on and close, and it will also record the close window, and that's where we're going to finish. When I click on finish, it automatically adds a comment saying start of the auto-generated action. So it's really easy to spot when you've started your recording and when you've finished. And I don't need this anymore, so I can just click on that one, delete, and click on that one and delete. Now, if I click on play, it'll do exactly what I've just done here. So let's just try again. Click on run. Now it's opened up invoicing. It's gone to invoices. It's typing in, as you can see. And I just realized I spelled Scotland wrong. I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, and as you can see, it's entered. Let's just open up the console invoicing and see if it's entered. Yep, it's entered the second time as well. So the next question is, then how do I make sure that these numbers are variables? So that's the next bit, you see. So this is where we start using a thing called the input and output variables. And before I start talking too much, let me just look at the comments in the session. What will happen to the UI flows as former DPA solution? That is actually a very good question. I don't actually know. I don't have a visibility on that, so I have to put down hold for this session. The next question was, how does DPA capture the legacy input value? The position of the element input or the internal name of the element input? Yes, that is a very good question. It's not the position; it's actually the internal name. It's using a bunch of APIs behind the scenes and detecting all of the components. So you can actually change which element it's going to be detecting as well. So you see here, it says the UI element. You can actually choose the different ways of selecting as well. And you can also change the actions here as well. So there are various ways of capturing it, especially in web-based automation scenarios. It also have different ways of detecting it, like things like style sheets as well. Okay, so just going back to the session again. So here, as you see, it's right now currently a fixed set of text and dates and such. So I want to define the variables. So on the right-hand side, there's no inputs or outputs defined yet. I'm going to click on plus and set up firstly the first input here. So the first one I want to input is the account name. And this will be used in the Power Automate Cloud flows afterwards. So you should set up something that's easy to remember. I'm going to name this the test account as a default value, and then the external name, I'm going to also name it the account name as well. And I need to add a description. So name of the account. Great. I just do the same for the rest of the ones as well. Input again. The invoice date. Text. And if you, in case you need to have like a password or sensitive text, you can choose sensitive text as well to protect that setup text. So the date, I can have maybe 21, 2020. External name, invoice date, and date of invoice. And just bear with me for two more variables. I'm going to have the invoice, the contact address. Just copy that here. And let's have test@test.com. Email address of the contact. Date. And last but not least, the invoice amount. Very important. And let's just have this as £1,000. Amount to invoice. There we go. And create. So that's done. Now, we've defined the variables, but we haven't linked this set of actions with the variables. So first, we need to go into this, double click, and you see this fixed text. Just delete this first, and then click on this X curly bracket button. And now we can just double click on the variable. And it does show up as an error, but don't worry, just click save. It does work. It looks like I just, yeah, this shouldn't be the account name. I just realized this is actually a date. Sorry about that. So invoice date. This is the account name. Delete that. Here's the account name. And this one's the contact address. And Oh, and we don't need this tab control. We can just delete that and edit this with the invoice amount. Done. Okay. And this is the save button and close window. So now we've linked the variables and the actions, so it's going to work. Okay, and I think we got another set of questions. What about DOS-based stuff, like the ones we usually have on the base, the bank and financial companies, like mainframe clients? Yeah, we do actually have a DOS-based one as well. So there is DOS command one as well. There's also terminal. I'm not going to do it in this session, but there is a terminal emulation actions as well, which you can use to enter keyboard commands and send text and get text as well. So it is available for bank and financial companies. Okay, so going back to the main session again. So here we've completed this automation. We can now click save. And when you click save, this actually saves back to the Dataverse. And now save successfully. You can click OK, and we can close this off. Exit. And now you see the SS 2021 invoice automation added on this Power Automate desktop. So that's pretty much it for the Power Automate desktop side of things. So now I'm going to try and run this from the Power Automate cloud side. And how we do that, let's go back, go to the flows. So go to my flows, or you can go to create, whichever you prefer. And let's just try with a very simple demo. Let's click with instant cloud flow, manually trigger a flow, and say manually trigger from cloud to invoice. And let's click create. So here we can add an input, again saying the invoice, account name, and the date, which is the invoice date, and the number with the invoice amount, and the email address. Right. And when you want to bridge the cloud flow with desktop flows, it's actually here because it's a common one. But you can search for desktop, and you got the desktop flows, and you choose the one that says run a flow built with Power Automate desktop. And if you click that, it will then allow you to select the one that you created, which is this one that I just created. If I select it, it automatically then shows all of the variables I defined as an input. And in here, you see the run mode set as unattended and attended and unattended. And the difference between the two is that attended is mainly for scenarios where your user or yourself, if you're automating yourself, you want to run this kind of like an ad hoc kind of automation. And unattended is actually for use cases where you want to kind of install this into like a server or a desktop, but you don't want to do it as an ad hoc, but just get it fully automated, for example, in scenarios like having it as a schedule as such. And so today I'm going to set it as attended. And then here I can then define what was triggered here in the flow to be included as the part of the Power Automate desktop. So if I go and add the account name, the date of invoice, the contact address, which is the email, and the invoice amount. Now, it basically is that you can run from the cloud or from the browser, and it will then run a flow in Power Automate desktop. So let's just try this. Let's save this. And your flow is ready to go. Let's try it, and we can clear and click test manually and click on the test button. Okay, and once we've done, just one tip before I forget, because it's the second time I'm running this, it's already created a connection, but when you're first time running this Power Automate desktop, you do have to set up a connection. Now, I've already set one up, so it's shown here, but when I click and add a new connection, it will ask you to define the gateway name. So this is the bit that what I said in the very beginning as a prerequisite. You need the on-premise data gateway first. If you don't have it, you can click on troubleshoot a missing gateway. And if you go and scroll down, there's actually a link to the download of the gateway. I can't find it. Where is it? It is there. I did see it today, this morning. Here we go. Yeah, download the latest version of the on-premise data gateway. Click here. So if you haven't got the on-premise data gateway, just go into here. It's actually a Paraps screen, but it's actually coming with Power Automate. So click and download and install it if you haven't done so, and sign in with your Office 365 login, and it's done. So I'm just going to go back, and once you've set up correctly, it will show up here. So this is the name of my PC at the moment, and this bit is actually defined automatically. If it's not, it's basically your computer name and then your local username, and then you need to also type in your password. And a common question that you get asked is, okay, what if it's a Microsoft account? And in that case, you actually delete this and then type in Microsoft account /, and then type in your address at outlook.com or something like that, and then type in your password. So that's how it works. So I'm not going to do it now, but just a tip. So once you're done, let's click and test this, and let's try this out. So I only got 15 minutes left, so I better be a little bit quicker than this. But so the account name, let's just try a completely different name. So I'm going to, since I'm Japanese and I live in Japan, let's call it Japan Summit. And the invoice date today is, let's just make it first. The amount will be $5,000. Super expensive, Japan at test.com. And that's it. Let's run the flow. Because I've done it as an email address, it's going to use my demo. Here we go. Let's just use this guy. And run flow. And okay, I've got my hands open. And let's see, it's a moment of truth, and see if this actually works. I haven't got my hands touching the mouse. It did work this morning. Good. Yes, it says Japan Summit, and it's just entered, and I think that's complete. Oh, I'm glad that demo god is here today. So I think it's done. There's a little bit of time lag, 10-15 minutes. Awesome. Okay, so it's ran successfully. Let's open up the Contoso Invoice app again and see if it actually has entered. Yep, it's entered. As you can see, Japan Summit, $5,000. Perfect. Okay, now this is level 1, and I'm going to just go back roughly, just briefly into my slides. So you could, say finish all of this in the Power Automate space. But being a Power Cat, and I love Power Apps and Power Automate, and actually my main job is actually working on Power Apps anyway. But so I did want to shove some Power Apps love into this session as well. So what I'm going to do is this. So I'm going to have 2 flows for the full automation. So what I'm going to do is to submit from the Power Apps app and write it into Dataverse, and then from the Dataverse it'll trigger off the second flow, which will run the desktop automation and update the status. Now I only got 10 minutes to do this, so I'm not sure if I can complete the demo in time, but I'm going to do my best. So it's back to the demo time. Now there is actually a good reason why you want to separate it to the 2 different flows, and the reason being is because if you actually did this, it's actually going to trigger the Power Apps directly to the Power Automate desktop. What will happen is that when you trigger off the button from the Power Apps, it'll wait for the Power Automate desktop to complete its task and then send back the results back to Power Apps, which actually makes that Power Apps very slow. So if you, by having this, writing it to the Dataverse, so that it'll run basically asynchronously, it's a little bit technical, but having this asynchronously means that from the people who's using paraps, the field workers don't want to wait for the whole Power Automate desktop to complete it. So you can just shove everything to Dataverse, and once it's written to Dataverse, it'll go into the second flow, and in the second flow will then get queued, right? And it will start running each and every record that has been triggered. Now, the beauty of having it, if you have only one PC or the server, and if you are going to run this on an unattended scenario, that's okay. And if you basically Power Automate desktop and Power Automate is clever enough that it's going to queue one by one in sequence, so that it will wait for the desktop automation to complete until it goes to the next record. So it doesn't try and spin up 3 Contoso invoicing app at the same time. It does just do it one by one sequentially, so it doesn't get in the way. Now, if you have multiple PCs, now if that's where it gets interesting, what you should do is to install the desktop, the on-premise data gateway as a cluster, and what that will do is actually it will then do a round robin, and it will distribute the load for all of these records. If you had like 50 records at once and you only had you had like 3 PCs to do it, it will do it in a round robin, going through it one by one. So it will kind of like load balance across the 3 desktop or the servers that you've got. And I think I got one question here. Does the unattended mode require an active user session to run? So automation running remotely on a VM? No. So this is a great bit. You see, if you have an unattended mode, it will automatically log into the system automatically and then log back off again automatically. So all of that is handled in the Power Automate side as well. So you don't need to worry about any of that. But what does that mean is they do have to have a separate license, because an unattended RPA means that you need an unattended RPA license separately. So you need one license for the Power Automate attended RPA user to create those RPA automations, and then you also need a separate license for the servers to run. So that's how it works. So now I blabbed on a little bit too much. I only got 6 minutes left now, but let me try and finish this off. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, and let me just stop this slide session for a minute. So I've got, firstly, what I have to do is in the Scottish Summit environment, now I've opened up the paraps screen. So if you're not familiar, go to make.paraps.com, and the first thing you need to do is to create a table. And this is a place where you're going to store your field agents are going to store your data. So let's have it field invoice data. Let's just call it field invoice actually. And it actually automatically converts into field invoices for the plural. And we can have, for example, an account name as the display name. And let's just click create for now. And while we're waiting for it to provision, basically you don't need to be like a SQL guru, or you don't have to be a database administrator to do any of this. It's really simple. It automatically handles the usual SQL typical work. You don't need to worry about SQL queries at all. So here, display name, we're going to add an extra contact email. And the data type here is going to be an email. Add that. Let's have another column, invoice amount. And we could choose a currency, but I'm just going to make it simple. And I'm just going to choose a decimal number for it now. And let's click done. And just one more, which I just can't remember, is the invoice date. Here we go to invoice date. And it's going to be date only. Okay, and that's done. I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's done. So now that's it. Let's just close this environments list. And if I click on save table, that's it. The table is created behind the scenes. It's actually creating a SQL table automatically. Okay, and that's the table bit. Now we're going to create the paraps side of things. So go back to home, and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to click on Common Data Service button. This is the old name for Dataverse for those of you who are new. and it automatically basically creates a great looking beautiful app for you. So I'm going to click on connect, and it will give me the list of the tables that we just had. So I should have the field invoices table. Click on connect, and it's basically going to do pretty much a lot of the work for me. And I only want to make just a little bit of tweak to make it look nice. I only have 5 minutes, but let's just do it anyway. So firstly, I'm going to make this, well, it's a Scottish summit, so I'm going to make it into a rose color. And the other one I'm going to do, just so that it's me actually making the proper demo live rather than just kind of a screen recording. I'm going to add a first screen with a Scottish Summit cover to make it look, really professional. Add this background image. I want to put it in as a fill, and let's add the awesome logo that I don't actually know who created it, but it's just awesome. Shout out to whoever created this logo. And then click and add a new image, the app logo. Here we go. And let's just add the title for this app, saying it's the field invoicing app. Here we go. And you could have done it directly here as well. And it's really, similar to what you do in a PowerPoint slides. Just click it like such. And let's just change it into something more nice. Here we go. Invoicing app. And we can have a new button that says we go to list. It doesn't have to go to this browse screen. We can just go directly to this edit screen. And all we have to do is to add a button. Where's the button? Here it is. And this button is going to be new invoice. And here, what you have to do is click on this on select, which means if you click this button, it's going to add a new form. In the edit form one, it will also move to that screen. So I just use it, navigate to the edit screen, and that's all you have to type, and it will automatically handle the rest of it for you. Now on the edit screen, as you see, it's only got the account name. So I'm going to add a couple of fields here. So here I need the contact email, I need the invoice date, invoice amount, and what else do I need? I think that's it. I hope that's it. Okay, I've got it done. Okay, so we've got the 4 bits, and here you got the time, and you could delete it, but it starts getting messy, so I'm just gonna hide it. Pretty much the same thing. Let's hide it like such. Here we go, and that's it. And all of the bits that was already pre-built, like submit form and everything, is done for you, which is pretty much amazing. But let's just add a little bit more, saying if it's submitted, if it's complete, and if it's successful, just click on the form and then go to on success. It'll go back, but also it'll send a message saying notify. And this is basically a pop-up saying successfully saved. Okay, so swiftly moving on, I'm going to first change the icon of this to the awesome logo. Let's change the color, and I'm going to save this app, the field invoicing app, and save. Now I was going to do this on an Android, but I realized I forgot to change my Android settings, so I can't show you the demo of it on an Android. But actually, by just saving this, it's actually already done pretty much of the work. Oh, I forgot to name this screen, the home screen. But that's pretty much it for the app. And if I click publish, that's it. Everyone can use this app. Let's just try it. If I go into the apps, it's already got the list of the field invoicing app in the list, and I'll open it up, and you see I'm going to start the trial because it is a premium feature. Yes, I forgot that you have to do this. Let's start my trial. Come on, I only got 1 minute left. And let's go back. Okay, Scottish Summit back. Sorry, I'm whizzing ahead. Let's try and open it again. Oh, okay. Yeah, so here we go. New invoice, and I can open up and I can type it here. Now, we finished the Power Apps. So I'm going to go back to the Power Automate side of things. Now, it's pretty much going to be something very similar to this. Instead of having this, I'm going to, let's copy this as a base. And I'm going to, yeah, okay, got it. Save this as trigger from Power Apps. Actually, Dataverse, sorry. Dataverse to Power Automate desktop. And my apologies, the time is slightly over. I will try and finish it as early as I can. Now, if I go back to the list, here it's disabled. Let's just open this up, turn it on, and let's edit this. And all you have to do is basically delete this for a second. Delete, yes. And let's add the Dataverse, which is actually common Dataverse. And it's when a row is added, modified, or deleted. And the type for this one is going to be create. The table is going to be the field invoices. And the scope is basically if it's just for your data or if it's for everyone's data. I'm just going to set organizations where it's everyone's data. Now here, as you can see, all of this has disappeared, but I can just map this invoice date, contact address, which is the email. Where's the email? Slightly panicking. Here we go, contact email and the invoice amount. Where's the invoice amount? Here we go, the invoice amount. And that's it. Now save. And that's now done. So, okay, now it's good to go. Now this is the moment of truth. It should work, hopefully. Let's try it. So, if I type in the account name, this the third one. Let's make it English Summit. And the contact email is english@test.com. And the invoicing date, let's have it 23rd. And the amount is $300. And save. And you see is that there's a pop-up on the left saying successfully saved and should now trigger off the Power Automate desktop. Hopefully. I'm not touching my hand again. Hopefully this works. It may have 1 minute time lag. I'm hoping this will work. Yep, it's moving, it's moving. Oh, I may have typed the wrong stuff, but it's definitely worked. I think it was because I touched my mouse. But yeah, it's working. And let's go to invoices. Here we go. Oh, it's probably because I moved my mouse a little bit, but yeah, it was working to an extent. So that's pretty much what I had as my demo. So just last thing. So if you want to have, these kind of things, I've done it very quickly in the space of 45 minutes. I really suggest you read the Planning a Power Automate project, which is my docs that I wrote in December. It's now published. So if you haven't read it, please do read it. There's also a one called Startup Power Apps project as well, which I also wrote last year in June with my colleagues. So if you have, these kind of ideas and you don't know where to start, definitely do have a look at these kind of docs. So in summary, what I wanted to say is Power Automate is awesome, and it's even more awesome with Power Automate Desktop, and it's even more awesome when combined with Power Apps, and I love Power Platform. So thank you, everyone. Sorry, I was 4 minutes behind time, but I hope you enjoyed my session. Thank you all for listening, and have a great rest of the evening. And yes, it was 2 a.m. in Japan, and it's just going to 2:50 a.m.
Thank you, Taiki, and thank you everybody for attending. If you've got time, please give Taiki your feedback in the session feedback form, and enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you had a good day, and probably see you for the pub quiz later. Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.